Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt, and I'm chairing today's panel. Joining me on the panel are Kent Seelan and Kevin Stephenson. Our assessor is Matthew Barocas, and our administrative personnel is Sally Caulfield. To the Zoom participants of the hearing, please note you are placed in the waiting room until your property is called upon. When it is your turn, you will be admitted into the meeting. Kindly follow along on the City of Winnipeg's Board of Revision YouTube channel for the hearing process. Once the host admits you into the hearing, please close or mute your YouTube player. You will then be permitted to speak with respect to your property. Once your hearing has concluded, you can leave the meeting. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I'll confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We will be hearing items 3 through 9 on our docket today. Ms. Caulfield, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Mr. Assessor, please state your full name.
Matthew Barocas.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Mr. Abbas, I'm going to put you in the waiting room now.
Yep.
Mr. Story, please state your full name.
My name is Jared Story.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Barocas and Mr. Story.
Morning.
So our first property is 197 Osborne, and there's 3 different appeals on this property, one for 2024, one for 2025, and one for 2026. So Mr. Story, before we begin, you are appealing the assessed value of all these properties, all these years?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
Only assessed value, no issues related to class code and liability value only. That's
okay.
Correct.
All right. Then we'll probably spend a little bit more time on item 3. I know a lot of the information will carry over. Some of it will be new given the assessment year or the change to the property. So we can focus a little bit more on the new part as we go along. just to speed it up a bit. So, Mr. Barocas, you can begin with item 3. This is file number 25-505, 197 Osborne Street.
Okay, thank you. File number 25-505, roll number 120216150000, 197 Osborne, roll year 2024, April 1/21 reference date. The assessed value, as per the model, 19,215,000, built in 2024. Got 90 units, 124 indoor parking, 114 outdoor parking. So for this property, I'm going to make a recommendation. Jared and I corresponded the other day about this. We have a different unit count bedroom breakdown. So upon review of correspondence with the owner, I can confirm that the city has the incorrect breakdown. So
what should it
because-
what should it be?
what should it be? It should be 25 bachelor, 55 one bedroom, and 10 two bedroom. So in our discussions, I'm gonna make a recommendation based on utilizing the Altus net operating income, or Ryan, of 849,482.
Yeah. And
then using a 4.8 cap, so my cap rate is still the same. And that comes out to a rounded recommendation of 17,698,000. And I'll
17,698.
yes.
Okay, and that's the applicant's NOI, which is 849,482, using your cap rate of 4.8.
That is correct. And
Okay.
yeah, I'll stop there.
Okay, Mr. Story, we have a recommendation to reduce the value to 17,698,000. Do you agree with that recommendation?
Thank you. I'd like to proceed, but of course we'll only be discussing cap rate, as we've now substantially narrowed our issues to cap only. So I don't have instructions from the client to accept the rec, but I will be expedient in our discussions on cap rate only. So I do appreciate that, but I would like to proceed, Madam Chair.
Okay, Mr. Barocas, then if you could carry on with your presentation, particularly focusing on the cap rate.
Yeah, for sure. So we have a 4.8% cap. If you follow me to page 5 of the brief. So this is a newer build. It's in Osborne Village, Osborne and Gertrude. So on page 5, we've got cap rate, sales. This is just evidence of sales that transpired in the market. They're not meant to be directly comparable. When you're looking at the years built, they're the only one that's the one that's most applicable would be the first one, 2390 McPhillips, and it is sold 2020, October 2020, with a 4.71 cap. So that's out by the Walmart, north of Leela, surrounded by some like auto lots. This one's in Osborne Village. Osborne Village is a desirable area for multifamily development. I think living in Winnipeg, we can all agree with that. So that one's a 4.7. We're at 4.8 here. That one sold at 215,000 a suite. My recommendation calculates to 196,000 or 197 rounded suite. So it doesn't look like we're overshooting the mark with our looking at the results of our overall evaluation. On page 6, this is our cap rate chart, just showing the 20th to 80th percentile It's 4.8 to 5.6 for multifamily. We're at 4.8. And then we just have some page 8, just some descriptions of the property, building amenities, on-site car co-op, bike storage, heated indoor parking at $200 per month. Amenities, whatnot. You guys can read that. I'm not gonna take up too much time. With that, page 9, you can see the general location. Looks like it's just north of Confusion Corner there. So kind of like in the heart of it. And then some photographs from the website. Did not have the chance to inspect this one. So overall, my rec puts us at 196,000. Our cap rate comparable on North McPhillips and newer building, 215 a suite with a 4.7 cap. I'm at 4.8. So I think the rec of 17,698 solid. That's my events. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Story.
Yes, just very quickly, and appreciate the recommendation, Mr. Brokus. And I neglected to point this out. I only caught it myself, but that parking, that indoor parking number of 124, are you aware that that is the actual indoor parking is 62 stalls?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay.
I'd have to double check our correspondence to confirm.
Sure, I can send you the photos too, and I would just to confirm that suite count will be changed going forward, so I can report that to the owner. Is that correct?
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yes, the suite count that was erroneously issued, and now you've corrected, that will be corrected going forward on the city record,
Of
correct?
course, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm going to
perfect.
make that. I'm going to change that in the system, so that's not something that's a chronic issue.
Thank you. And you mentioned that I think you said you hadn't inspected the property.
Had not inspected it, no.
Has anyone from the city inspected the property?
I don't, well, our department, I don't believe so. For obviously like permits and stuff, I would assume many people have gone through.
Okay. And is the assessment model generated?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then I suppose the question becomes if there were errors in the city's record in the model, would that then affect the output of the cap rate? If the suite count was incorrect and if the parking count was double counted, would that affect the output of the modeled cap rate?
Okay, so let me just clarify. So my recommendation obviously is not model generated.
Right.
The cap rate, no, the cap rate would not have changed because
Okay.
this is a newer building. It's a larger newer building in the area. It gets I think it's done by square foot. The composition of the units would not have made a difference. No.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I agree with you that 2390 McPhillips would be the most applicable, and it's one that we've both included. We calculated differently. Now, you said that, well, can we agree that 2390 McPhillips, based on what we know about the development in that Leland McPhillips triangle of multifamily, that would you agree with me that that is actually a very desirable place to develop multifamily?
They're developing a lot of buildings out there and even further north towards the perimeter. So there's land that people are investing there. So that seems to be a lot of people from other places are moving to the city and living there.
Right. So lots of development, we can agree.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's my neck of the woods, so I've been watching it for some time, so I can warrant that personally. Now, in terms of obviously you and I have developed different stabilized NOI on Lady Joyce on McPhillips, but can we agree at a minimum that at the time of sale, the rents were considered below market? Is that a fair comment?
I mean, I don't have anything in my brief to indicate that. I know where you're getting, like, after the sale, the rents were higher, but
Precisely.
also like the expenses were higher too. Like I did I did an experiment where I took the 2021 expenses and it worked out to like a 4.7 cap, but that's after the sale, just like the rents we're
Yep,
talking about are.
fair
So
enough. Yep. But would it be fair to assume then if and the purchaser, to be fair, this is all known. It was a real estate investment trust, so it was a knowledgeable purchaser, correct?
yes.
Okay. Um, Now, do you think that well, sorry, I guess we'll have to talk about what happened after, and I don't want to speak to anything post-reference, but for the purpose of this cycle with this reference date, have you reviewed the marketing circular that went out to the market on this property?
I did.
Okay.
Yes.
And can we agree that you're quite right? It was put to the market at a 475 cap, correct? In the marketing material.
I can't remember exactly. It was either 4.75 or 5, like somewhere in that range.
Right. Okay. It's okay if you don't have it in front of you, I can speak to it in my presentation. But ultimately, can we agree that that sale price of 19.4 is $1 million below the asking price that went out to the market through the broker? Is that
I
correct?
mean, if that's in your
It
presentation, that
is.
would be
Yeah.
something that I wouldn't want to answer and then have you pull it out and say, aha,
No,
didn't get
no,
it right.
it's fine. We can speak to it then.
Yeah.
And then just lastly, can we agree that the brokers now, and again, this is broadly, I mean, it's not a high rise, it's not quite a low rise. We would typify our subject as a mid-rise building. Is that fair? Between 4 and 6 stories?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of them that are newer come up in this kind of range of
Yeah,
story height.
yeah, for sure. So based on what the brokers have supported here, can we agree that they're all starting at 5% at a minimum, um, with CBRE a touch higher at either 5.25 or 5.5? Is that correct?
I mean, look, that's what they're saying in the table. My
Yep.
calculation comes from the stabilization of their actuals. So, I mean, it's like a quarter point difference. I'm actually 0.2, 4.8.
Right.
So like not a whole heck of a difference, actually.
And to be fair though, the brokers are they're providing a snapshot of the entire multifamily sales universe, whereas you and I are talking about one sale. So
Right.
just to be clear, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I think, oh, and just quickly, in terms of your photos, I think you mentioned these are the marketing photos from the website, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I will leave my questions there, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr. Brokus.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Seelan, do you have any questions for the assessor?
No, my questions have been asked and answered, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Stephenson?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think I do either. I see that you have pulled from the lowest cap rate on the city chart, or you're not pulled from it, but the cap rate in this property aligns with that.
The lowest, like 20th to 80th percentile, we still have
Yeah.
like caps that are lower than this.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Okay, I don't have any questions on the cap issue, so Mr. Story.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, so we are at 197 Osborne. I was able to inspect the property on August 27th. I've included my photos throughout, and I've included photos of what we would consider a typical suite, typical unit. I do note that the marketing photos, that is a very unique display suite. There's, according to the owner, there's exactly one like it, so it's the best unit, and that's what they use to for their marketing. So my photos, I think, will provide you with a more reasonable view of this, the standard of quality, which is good. It's a new property in good condition, but that I will caution that the photo in the assessor's brief from the marketing is that's a one singular unit. So again, we are on the southwest corner of Gertrude and Osborne. This is Osborne Village, of course. We have a 5-story building. It is wood framed. It's zoned RMU. The total site size, according to city records, which appears to to not be in dispute here is 25,589 square feet. And as as Mr. Brogus has rightly corrected the record, there are indeed 90 units, and his suite count is now correct at 25 bachelors, 55 one bedroom, and whoops, sorry. Let me just make sure I have this right. 25 bachelors, 55 one bedrooms, and 10 two bedrooms. So a preponderance of one bedrooms, but that is in line with the market in the area. So the units are on the smaller side, with the one bedroom units running between 595 and 689 feet, and the two bedrooms running between 820 and 841 square feet. But the property does have private balconies. So you can see from my photo on page 8, the balconies at the front facing onto Osborne are a bit smaller, and there are some larger terraces that they overlook the back area that would be the back of Gladstone School, and then there's a metal shop back there as well. So ultimately, we're only talking about the cap rate. I did mention that the only applicable cap rate in both of our studies is on 2390 McPhillips. I did mention the marketing circular, and I just want to point something out very quickly, because we've talked about this a great deal, but in reviewing, I will point out that
Is the marketing circular included
it
in
is
your
it is
presentation?
yes, indeed, it's in our overall cap rate study.
Okay.
If
Should
you'd
we
like
be
to,
looking at it then? Yeah.
yes, if you don't mind, in the Ryan cap rate study for 2023 for apartments, I'll give you a
Just
minute
give us a
to
minute.
open. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind just letting me know.
Sorry, just having a hard time finding it.
No problem.
There's very many of them. Item 9. Why am I not finding it here?
It should be at the bottom,
Okay, I think I got it.
items 3 and 6, apartment cap rate study.
Yeah, got it. Okay. Page.
Okay, it is page 48. Yes, and it should be page 48 of your PDF. I have a paper copy in front of me, but I believe it should be the top left should say Lady Joyce, and the top right should say offering details.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Everybody, Kent and Mr. Stephenson, do you have it? Yeah, okay.
Yes,
Okay.
thanks,
Got it.
Chair.
Okay, so and thank you for humoring me to this is just one small detail, but I do want to ensure that it's pointed out appropriately. As I mentioned, the offering to the market, and this is a public document, was 20,440,000. They show a stabilized NOI. Now, I mean, this is, I don't have the calculation. I'm simply showing you what was put to market. The stabilized NOI at 978.69, capitalized with a 4.75, comes to 20,440,000. However, the sale transacted at 19,400,000. So, using those same figures and knowing the purchase price, that cap rate becomes 5%. So we calculate it a bit higher. The assessor calculates it a bit lower, and basically the crux of our dispute on this one that's been going on for this cycle is that the purchaser was a REIT who would have known that there was topside potential in purchasing that asset and increasing the rents. Of course, this property is not under rent control, and it is fairly rare to see a newer property with that topside potential. So when we calculate the rents to market, we have a cap that's north of 5.5. However, we are just simply pointing out, if you're not satisfied with the assessor's calculation or ours, the document that was put to market does indicate a 5% cap at a minimum. So I just wanted to point that out. So ultimately, we've provided you with our cap study, and we've determined that the cap rates for this past cycle of 23 and 24, based on April 1 of 2021, should range should be at approximately 5.25%. Again, the McPhillips property is in a established suburban neighborhood. It does have a different character than a property in the downtown neighborhood, to be certain, and there is demand for rental properties in the northwest corner after any decades of not having a great deal of rental properties. Now we have many doors that have come on stream. So in analyzing the this property, where we would use a base cap of 5.25, I have made a positive adjustment. I do think that this is a desirable place for renters. I think that the suite mix is good and is tuned to market. I suppose we'll see as time goes on, as we have more operational data. This is all clearly theoretical. The building wasn't built at the time of our reference date, but ultimately we have been optimistic in our application of a cap rate of 5%. So I will leave it there. You've heard our discussion ultimately on these cap rates, but I think that a 5% cap rate for this property is appropriate. Based on our agreed upon net income of $849,482, and capitalized with a 5% cap rate, that brings us to an indicated market value of $16,989,637, which we then round to $16,990,000. The balance of my brief includes photographs. That initial photo in the assessor's brief that you'll see, that's the lobby, and I have a photo of that as well. So just to be clear, that first photo is the lobby. Photos of the common areas. I did include a photo where there is some, well, it's not unique to this building. Certainly in the downtown areas, we are seeing more nuisance behavior. So I did include that broken in door where they're having some issues, but I have not made any adjustment for that. I'm simply trying to paint a realistic picture of the property. Again, a number of photos showing the interiors of the suites, and then the back end of the brief shows that shell commercial space that we'll talk about in the third appeal. So ultimately, we feel very comfortable with feel provided a balanced analysis here, and we do respectfully submit that the value should not exceed $16,990,000. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions, and I thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barocas, questions?
Let me just see. So I just have one question. So it's that marketing, the thing that was put to market for the cap rate study, that's on page, okay, 48. Okay, good. So for that one, they had a total stabilized net operating income at $978.69, correct?
Let me just pull it up. They're saying that the total stabilized NOI, yes, 978.69.
So was there any sort of pro forma information attached to this marketing document to support how they got to that number?
No, and as I mentioned, I don't have their workup. I'm simply showing you what has been put to market. But no, it's not my calculation. I don't have the background on it or the backups. But this is simply a third opinion that seems to fall basically between our positions. So I don't think it's inappropriate to show the board what was put to the market, and mathematically, if you accept that NOI, or if the purchaser accepted that NOI from the broker, when we apply their actual purchase price, it does become a 5% cap. So that's the point of including that.
Yeah, because you guys were higher, which would make the cap rate go up, and we were lower at 913, which make the cap rate go down. So
That's right.
we both essentially don't agree with what they're saying the stabilized NOI it ought to be, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, that's my only question. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Stephenson, questions?
Just to confirm, you're seeking a 5.0 cap rate?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay, that's all I want to confirm. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
Yes, you mentioned the sale of 19,400,000. What year was the sale?
That was, let's pull that up. I want to say 2020, but I just want to make absolutely sure. Sorry. That sale occurred in, yes, October of 2020. And that is the sale that we'll be discussing for newer properties. We don't have a lot of clean sales for newer assets built after 2010. So that is the sale that the assessor and I have both sort of benchmarked as a benchmark to talk about these newer built properties, and that's simply for lack of data. So that is, it's not obviously not the whole market, but it does give us some guidance.
Mentioned 62 stalls for indoor parking.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's the count for outdoor parking? Say the
That's a good question. The city is suggesting 14 outdoor, and I think that is, I think that's correct. So I don't have an issue with the 14 outdoor stalls. I think that is correct. You might lose one in the winter, as is often the case with some of that outdoor parking. But the primary concern is the indoor parking is not 124. It is indeed 62.
Does that affect the, I'll say, cost of the building per se?
Yeah, yes, it should. So ultimately, when we determine the appropriate expense ratio for a property like this, the ideal situation would be to have 3 years of operational data and expenses that we are then able to stabilize. But you're quite correct. Properties that have, for example, balconies that have underground parking, they do typically have higher expense ratios, and that's you can imagine if you're taking care of or maintaining underground garages, that's an added expense to be certain. But there's added income that comes from it as well. So now in this property, well, I can't speak to the actuals and what's happening in 2025, but we can certainly talk more in the next cycle about what's happening with parking and vacancy and all of those issues. The other issue that that I didn't touch on, but if we're talking about expenses, this property does have 14 units that are income capped by CMHC, so they have an agreement, and our concern will be going forward, if there's income limits on some of those suites, and if there are indeed higher expenses, that will be a question of the durability of the income stream that will have to be reviewed at a later date once we have more operational data. But you're correct there. This property will likely have, or I don't know if that's what you're implying, but this property will likely have higher than average expenses going forward based on some of the amenities. So, but without more robust expense data, we've not challenged the expense ratio in this case, and it's not in dispute. But that will be a question for down the road as we have better data to determine where it ought to be. But right now, we feel that any risk or any additional risk would be captured in that cap rate. So.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Seelan. Mr. Storia, just going back to the suite count. Sorry, when I was going through this stuff yesterday, I noticed also that there was discrepancy, but then I went to your page 8 on your presentation, and might want to correct this for future presentations. You have a different suite count again in your the one that agrees with the city. So
So yes, and I can explain that. I apologize. we, yeah, no, I neglected to adjust that. That is my error. I apologize. But at the very last page of my brief,
Yeah.
you will see correspondence from the owner confirming the correct suite count. So
No, I appreciate what you're saying. It's just that there was different numbers sort of everywhere.
yeah, no, agreed. Yeah.
And I just want to confirm on your page 17. In your narrative, the very top, you have a different value than in
Yes, again,
table.
yes. Yep.
So I'm assuming it's the 16,990 that you're requesting.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Apologies. And there's also in some of these points reverted on editing, and that is my fault. I apologize, but I have it as high-rise masonry. It's mid-rise and it's wood frame. So, and these are errors that I hope do not persist through our presentation, but I do apologize. There's a lot of editing that went into this brief, and I think we have some reversions that I missed. So my apologies, but ultimately, the NOI we've agreed on,
Right.
and we're simply requesting that 5 cap. Yep.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions. Mr. Brokus, would you like to make a summary statement on this matter?
I think I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Story.
No, but I'm sure I think we can just make a brief comment at the end of this property. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Then that will conclude item 3. Okay, moving along to item number 4. This is the same property, but a different assessment year. And now we have the addition to same property. Okay, Mr. Brokus, if you can begin, please. This is file number 25-506, 197 Osborne.
Thank you very much. File number 25-506, roll number 1202161500. Same property, 197, except for 2025 is the roll year, so the reference date changes to April 1, 2023. The model assessment was 20,538,000. Again, it's the same property description. So making a rec on this one to adjust the NOI to the Ryan NOI. So the NOI is 884,266, and then you use a 4.7 cap, so a hair below the last cycle. Kicks out a rounded recommendation of 18,814,000.
Okay, so just to repeat that, applicant NOI, which is 884,266, capped at 4.7%, is 18,814,000 rounded.
That's right.
Okay. Mr. Story, do you accept the recommendation?
I would like to proceed. Obviously, I accept the NOI, and the same as the last file, Madam Chair, we'll just keep our questioning and our comments to cap rate, but I would like to proceed just to discuss the cap rate, if I may.
Okay. Mr. Brokus, you can proceed then with introducing the property, and then just give us a little bit of info here, and then focusing on cap.
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, like, it's the same property as last go around, so I don't have to go into big time detail on it. On page 5 is our cap chart that includes some sales because it's a new reference date. But again, as if you look at the year built date, 2390 McPhillips is still the best sale to use. There just hasn't been another new big one. So I think the applicant and the city are kind of hanging on to that one. This recommendation puts the value at 209,000 per unit. And 2390 McPhillips is 215 per unit, and that sale took place in 2020. Our reference date for this property is 2023, so we're saying 209 per unit in 2023. So it's got a 4.7 cap. Also on page 7, there's a little bit more here. This is just we saw there was a PowerPoint from the presentation at the Winnipeg Real Estate Board. These are some transactions of newer properties. We don't have the income and expense mailer information for them, sufficient information in order to develop a cap rate from the sale. So you can see Luminate South Point, that's like a townhouse, so that one isn't applicable firstly. So I just want to make sure I don't want to turn your heads toward that. But Urban Square and UC 30 by the university sold in the 260, mid 260s, 270 range per unit. And we're only at 209 in Osborne Village. So this is just what the real estate board is telling us. I just thought it'd be good to kind of have the panel take a look at that to see, you know, overall which assessment or which market valuation makes sense in the context of what the real estate board is saying on a per unit basis. Then we've got our cap rate chart on page 6, 4.75, 5.45, 20th to 80th percentile. You guys have seen it before. Other than that, it's all the same. That's my evidence.
Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Story, questions?
Yes. And obviously my question's been, Chair, I asked that they just carry forward.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so just very quickly, Mr. Brokus, you've mentioned the real estate board. Now these are the top transactions, correct? So these would be the most remarkable transactions, let's say, in our market. Is that fair?
I don't know what they meant by this. These were the only transactions that they put out on their PowerPoint that was available online.
Okay, and that's put out by a brokerage, and it does. Yeah, I mean, it does indeed say it's the top sale transactions. It doesn't say the average sales. It doesn't say, right? Okay.
Well, I mean, they're always salespeople, right? They're always going to say it's the top, it's this and that. So who knows?
Yep. Okay, that's fair, and I do appreciate that you've recognized that Lumen is a completely different asset. It has garages, and it's just a different property altogether. But just to be very clear, were these share sales?
You can double check. University. And then go to the sales form here. Because like if we don't have the info, we can't use it. So okay, so 30 University, we have that as a share transfer.
Mm-hmm.
And then Urban Square 230, good. Just bear with me. I will get you an answer to this question instead of just saying I don't know. If I have it, I'm not trying to avoid.
No,
So
I think
yes,
they were.
that was a shared was a shared transfer as well. Yes.
Okay, so on those sales, I appreciate you said you don't have the details, but do you know then if those were if there was any atypical financing that might have been applied, or any of the transaction details, or are you simply looking at it on a per unit basis?
Just what they're displaying on a per unit basis. I'm not putting like the weight of my conclusion. That's 2390 McPhillips. I just thought that it might be something that the panel might want to see, that this is what the Winnipeg Real Estate Board is saying.
Right. And just to be clear, and I won't dwell on this too much, but if we're looking at price per door, that would be a direct comparison approach, and that's not what we're doing. We're doing an income approach. Is that correct?
We're doing an income approach, but it's kind of like if you just took the overall, sale price, and then just, okay, so how much did it sell for? That's one way of looking at it. But sure. I'm not using a direct comparison. I'm using.
No, I understand. And if we were to use a direct comparison, we would have to make applicable adjustments to
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I just wanted to ask you about that. Oh, and then lastly, sorry, we've talked about 2390. I'm sure the panel is exhausted with hearing about 2390. But can we agree at a minimum on page 6, two of the three brokers whose reports that you've included here, they start at a 5. Is that fair? Their bottom line is a 5 for well, low rise. I mean, CBRE is at a 4.5, but both Colliers and Cushman are starting at a 5. This property isn't a high rise, right?
Other than, yeah, Cushman's got a high rise. So, I mean, there's some that are below 5, a couple that are above 5. So,
Right.
or that are at 5 rather. So
Right.
we're in the same ballpark.
But two of the three, just to reiterate, two of these three brokers are suggesting 5 at a baseline, correct?
I
Based
mean,
on this
that's, yeah,
evidence.
that's what they're saying. I know what sort of methodology they're using or what they're including in their
Okay.
calculations. I know from looking at Colliers that I've seen in their cap rate study that they actually calculate the cap rate using the net operating income from the year after the sale, which is not something that we would do. So I can't vouch for their methodology. All I can really vouch for is my own calculations and what we do here.
Yeah, no, that's a fair comment. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Brokers.
you. Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Seelan, questions?
Yes, just to clarify, your recommendation is 80,814,000.
Let me get my email up. Yeah, 18,814,000. Yes.
A cap rate of 4.7%.
Yeah, 4.7.
And that's based on using the NOI of Ryan.
Yeah, using Ryan's NOI.
Applicant. Sorry.
Yeah, the applicant 884,266.
Super. Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Seelan. Mr. Stephenson?
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions either. Thank you, Mr. Barocas. Mr. Story.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. So again, as we've now narrowed our issue to the cap rate, we are suggesting a 5% cap rate for this property. So again, we've submitted a cap rate study. The most applicable cap rate comparable that we've included remains 2390 McPhillips. We calculate that cap rate to be higher than the city. City is obviously lower, and the circulars we've established that was put to market indicates a 5%. So we do maintain that a 5% is appropriate for this property. Now, I did some research on Osborne Village. This will likely have more application to the retail as we discuss it in the next cycle. But there were some concerns around the neighborhood, and there are some news reports that talk about increased nuisance behavior, let's say increased crime, and it does appear that 2023 was the year when that became more pronounced. There was retail vacancy through 2018 in different periods, but there were some concerns that were raised by both residents and business owners alike in the village. It was more applicable, I suppose, to this cycle, and that's why I didn't mention it in the previous one. So I haven't made an adjustment, but you might notice that I made a locational adjustment in the previous, and I didn't make it here, and that's because I did try to take a balanced and holistic approach to these three assessments that we're looking at today. So we do maintain that a 5% cap rate is appropriate. So we continue to apply that 5%. And if we look at the input that we're discussing at 2390, I think that 5%, frankly, it makes sense. I do note also that the expense allowance has increased slightly, and we both the assessor and I have accepted that slight increase to expenses. But again, to Mr. Seelan's question in the previous file, we will track that, and in the next cycle we may have more robust evidence. Certainly this is retrospective and theoretical, as the property had not yet been built, but ultimately any concern or any potential risk that we might see that may come in the future by way of increased expenses, vacancy, or any sort of limitations to the durability and potential for income growth in this property have been captured in that cap rate of 5%, which again we believe to be on the optimistic side, but certainly supported. So, with all of that being said, we've now agreed to the NOI of 884,266. We then capitalize that with a 5.0 cap rate, giving us an indicated market value of 17,685,320, which we then round to 17,685. The photos, once again, are my inspection photos. Those begin on page 21, and that is based on my interior inspection and interview with the owner as of August 27th of 2025. So quite recently. I will leave it there, Madam Chair, but ultimately we believe that our value of 17,685,000 is supported, and do respectfully request the board to adjust the value based on our submission. And with that, I'm open to your questions, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Barocas, questions?
I do not have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seelan.
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. So, Mr. Story, I did note when I was going through your presentation that you did not make that positive adjustment to the cap rate. You've explained it's because of nuisance behavior, sort of safety concerns in the area.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's based on the news reports that I was able to read from CBC. Now it was mostly discussing, well, I should say it between 2018 and 2020, it was predominantly questions about vacancy, retail vacancy, and some of those issues. But then we now have in this cycle we have more reporting around basically crime and violent crime in the area that would have more of an effect on residential. I'm not suggesting that it's not desirable, but I'm comfortable with a 5% cap rate over both cycles, given what we know on a site-specific analysis of the property in the neighborhood.
Okay, so I guess your position is those issues didn't exist to the same extent, or just you weren't aware of them?
Well, it could be, frankly, it could be either. I'm relying on the, because we have to go back in time to, 2018 through 2021. I can rely on my own sort of anecdotal evidence, but I prefer to look at what was known to the market, and media reports are a pretty good indicator of what would have been known. And then there's also
yeah. Oh, sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. There's also the police at that point. We're starting to discuss a special group to police Osborne Village to cure some of these issues. So it's I would suggest that it's not an unsubstantial amount of nuisance behavior. Clearly, the downtown and the surrounding areas have experienced some headwinds coming out of COVID. I think that's a very fair comment.
And you did show a picture of a door that has some damage to it. Has this property experienced?
Yes. So there's
large amount of.
Yes. So I mean, I'm careful because it is post-reference, but I can certainly say that anecdotally and from the owner, there have been some challenges in terms of break-ins and people getting into the building who shouldn't be there and that sort of thing. And that is not exclusive to this building. That is just something that we see in the downtown in general and the surrounding downtown areas to some extent. So again, I haven't made a negative adjustment for it, but I've maintained the cap rate of 5%, which I believe to be I believe that remains optimistic.
And do you think this detracts from the overall desirability of Osborne Village generally?
Well, one of the major issues that is being reported is a lack of foot traffic. I don't know. I mean, I do know that the vacancy in and around the downtown is certainly higher. Now, I don't have the details to share with you because it's post-reference, so I will not do that. But I know that the CMHC reports do suggest that the downtown, I believe, was around 7%, whereas the citywide average was closer to 3 and 3.5. That's physical vacancy. That doesn't account for collection loss and bad debt. So
Yeah, and I'm
I
talking
suppose,
specifically
yeah,
Osborne Village, which I see is different from downtown.
sure, but the downtown neighborhoods are, you know, there are some challenges that we would not see, for example, in the 2300 block of McPhillips. So you know, in the established suburban neighborhoods, it is, downtown is slightly different. And a fair comment that Osborne may not be, you know, right downtown, but it is considered a downtown neighborhood. And again, I haven't made any adjustment, but
Mhm.
uh, what was known, at least from what I could find at this second reference date of 2023, the reports that I'm seeing are different than what I was seeing for the previous cycle.
Okay, thank you. Fair enough. Mr. Brokus, any desire for summation right now?
I do not.
Okay, Mr. Story?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right, then that will conclude item number 4. Item number 5 is file number 25-507, my apologies, 197 Osborne. So same property, but now we have the addition of some retail. Mr. Brokus.
Okay, thank you very much. File 25-507, roll number 1202-1615-000-197 Osborne Street. This roll year 2026, so it's the same reference date. It's 2025. So same recommendation calculation for the 20T classification of 18,814,000 based on an NOI of 884,266 and a 47 cap.
Okay.
So same thing. Obviously, I'm not gonna. There's no reason to change that at all. And yeah, so there's also like a retail, or sorry, there's a commercial component on the main floor. It is in shell condition, so it's not fit up either. So I have to make a quick correction to that, unfortunately, as well, just due to the fit up. So if you follow me to page 3.
Yep.
We use $120 per square foot to fit the place up as a lump sum deduction because it is in shell condition. That figure and the model calculated something a bit less. Don't know why. So the deduction on that, it says adjustments. Instead of -798,558, it should be -841,680.
841,680.
Yes. And
Okay.
then that will generate a revised CC 60, class code 60 of 1,132,000. A small difference, but it should be correct.
Yeah.
And I'll stop there and then keep
Okay.
on.
So that brings our overall value to
Overall value to 19,946,000.
19,946. Okay, so that's, you're proposing recommendation to reduce one to both components. The class 20 res 2 component would be reduced to 18,814,000. That's based on the applicant NOI and a cap rate of 4.7. And also to the commercial component, the change is to the adjustment,
Yes.
making that 841,680, resulting in a revised class 60 of 1132000 for an overall of 19,946. Do I have that right?
Yes, perfect. Perfect.
Okay. Mr. Story, do you accept?
I would like to proceed, but again,
Okay.
we've narrowed our issues, and I have my own adjustment to make on the rents. So it's a very collaborative process this morning, but
No,
we'll get there.
collaboration is good. We'll get there. Okay, then, Mr. Brokus, can you please go ahead then?
Okay, so
And you know, in fairness, we've talked about the Res 2 component. I'm assuming the same issues carry
Same stuff.
over from last.
yeah, I won't belabor the point at all. I'll go right to the commercial.
Go
So
right to the
same
commercial.
thing as last go around. I'm sure you guys have it all written down. You've heard enough about it. So you can see our workup on page 3 for the retail component in terms of the model parameters for gross potential rent, vacancy, shortfall, expenses, etc. We use a 6.2 cap. And then we get to 1132000 based on the revised adjustment at 120 per square foot. That's generated by, if you go to the next page on page 4, the premise area is currently 7,014 square feet. It's in shell condition. I assume it will be eventually demised and rented out to smaller units, but currently that's not what it is. It's currently one big commercial space. I believe the applicant has some photographs in there briefly, so you can see we're on the same page there. So okay, so how we do it is we have a rent of $19.31 net. That's saying that, okay, this is what it would rent for if it was fully fit up. You know, someone was in there and they just had to put someone else in there and they can run their business in there. And then we take the 120 per square foot deduction off of that just on a lump sum. And that's why there's a big chunk coming out of it. I think just where the applicant and we differ a little bit, but I think our methodology we use is the same in coming up with a valuation. Just the numbers differ a bit. Comparable leases are found on page 6. So I tried to find some of the bigger ones. There wasn't a whole heck of a lot. I could find like the Osborne Village. Usually the units aren't that big. So it was a bit tough. So they range from 1711. There's one that's 26. I wouldn't really put my foot down on that one because it seems to be the outlier. So it's mainly 1711 to 1920. Effective year built in the mid-90s. We're at 1931. So we are just above the range of the Osborne homes. But again, this built in 2024. So the rent's ever so slightly higher. And that's how we came up with our calculation for the commercial on page 3. I'll just leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Story.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, Mr. Brokus, I reviewed your rents. Just one quick question. I agree. Queen Elizabeth Way, is that not owner occupied, that property?
Queen Elizabeth Way?
Yeah, your fourth input there. It's a denture
I'm
court.
not sure, but I basically discarded that in my presentation.
Okay.
So I'm not putting any on that.
No problem. And just so you know, I'll accept your rents. So we'll leave that as is at 1931. That seems well within reason. Okay, now your retail cap rate. Do you have any sales to support that capitalization rate?
I do not. It's just strictly the number that the model generated. So I don't have any supplemental support for that.
Right. And the retail, and am I correct in assuming that the entirety of the retail income stream is model generated? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we're really just talking about, for our purposes today now, we've narrowed it to the cap rate and the fit up allowance. Now I appreciate that you've changed it from, I think it came out at 113.85 and you've adjusted to 120. Is that 120, is that a prescribed rate, or is that applied broadly to all premises, or is that, how do you determine that 120 a foot?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I talked to retail. That's something that they've been using on a fit
Okay.
up basis when it comes to this. So, I mean, they touch a lot more of those properties, so I'm just remaining consistent.
Okay, that's fine. But to be fair, then it's not based on a site-specific review of this property, but rather call it a blanket rate that is put onto as a fit-up allowance for new properties, retail properties that are coming on stream.
Yeah,
Okay.
like we've looked at like permits in other properties and seeing what they cost on a per square foot basis to fit up, and then 120 was the number that we've been using based
Okay.
on the information we've been able to calculate.
Okay. Okay. I will leave it there. Those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Seeland, do you have questions?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stephenson?
No questions, thank you.
Okay. And thank you, Mr. Brokus, for clarifying how you reached the change to the adjustment for the retail. I appreciate that. All right, Mr. Story.
Yes. Okay. And obviously, we'd like to ask that our comments on cap rate for the multifamily stream carry forward. If we may, Madam Chair. We continue to seek. Where are we here? Sorry, the same value. So that should be 17,685 on the CC20. Now, ultimately, we are seeking 691,000 for the class code 60, and this is largely based on the application of what we believe to be a more appropriate capitalization rate of 7%. We've provided you with our capitalization rate study for retail properties. May I impose on the board to open that study? There's an input there that I'd like to point out that provides support for our request.
Okay, hang on a second. Have to find it. Retail capitalization rate. Nope. Okay, page.
This is page 28.
Okay.
Okay, wonderful. So we have provided our entire retail cap study. I have summarized it in my chief evidence, indicating the top quality assets should range between 6.5 to 7, standard quality between 7 to 7.5, and low quality between 7.5 and then 8.5% and up. I did notice in reviewing this file that we do have a sale on Corridon. So that would be reasonably comparable in terms of location, perhaps superior in terms of as a retail node. And we can see that this sale has an indicated capitalization rate of 6.75. So, and this is a property that is a more traditional strip center. It has its own parking, and it's not basically when we see these CRUs at the base of apartments, typically they rely on the business of the tenants above and the foot traffic. It's not they're not they're slightly different, I would say, than this property. I would say that this is superior in many ways. So I believe that the application of a 6.75 on the Corridon strip supports our request for 7%. Our summarized table supports our request, but I wanted to point out this one sale that would be most applicable to provide illumination to the board as to how we came to that conclusion. So now the other issue that we have is the fit up allowance. I spoke with the owner. I have toured this property. I have a number of photos of that shell space. There's poured floor, there's electrical, and there's doors, but that's it. So it does require a fair bit more work to fit this property up. I have used a rate of $145 per foot, and that is based on conversations with the owner that I've adjusted backward, frankly, from what he indicated was what his estimate would be to fit that space up. So I appreciate that the city is tasked with providing fit up allowances for a great many buildings, but on a site specific review and based on the owner's warranting to me what his estimates are, I'm a fair bit lower on a per foot basis, but I believe that 145 per foot is the correct number to apply for our valuation today. So and as I mentioned, we have accepted the assessor's rents in this case. They make sense. So ultimately, our NOI with the acceptance of the assessor's rents adjusts from 117, 118 to the city's 122, 353. We then capitalize at a 7% cap, which gives us an income value of 1,747,900. Mr. Brokers is quite correct. This is assuming the methodology is assuming that this is all fit up and ready to lease. However, we have to assess what's there, and based on that shell space and based on the application of 145 per foot, we deduct 981,960. So that adjusts our request on the class code 60 to 765,940, which we then round to 766. So all of that being said, our adjustment, and on page 23, I've made this adjustment in my notes, and we maintain our request maintains at 17,685 on the class code 20. However, we adjust that 691 on the CC 60 to 766. So again, the total value is predicated on 17,685,000 for the class code 20, with the addition of 766,000 for the class code 60, giving us a total indicated market value at the reference date of 18,451,000. So we do respectfully submit the value ought not to exceed 18,451,000 on the site specific review. Now I can show you very quickly in my main brief. After the photos of the suites, you can see the condition as at late August. It was the 27th, I said, when it was there, and you can see it is indeed in full shell space. There's no framing. It's just wide open. So fair bit of work to do there, and that is why we've applied the fit up allowance that we did, and it is informed by the owner's estimates. So I will leave it there, and I'm happy to take your questions, and I thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barocas.
Yeah, just in terms of on page 28 of your retail study, you'd indicated that index 9, the Cordon strip mall that's sold at a 6.75 cap.
Yep.
That building is, I mean, it's been there a while, right? Like it would be a lot older than the subject property.
Yes, it's established, it's well located, but it's also I don't believe that the condition is I believe it's in very good condition. Those are good covenants. You can see you have there's a cannabis shop, a coffee shop, and then Subway. So I don't believe that there'd be an issue with the age. Typically, these retail properties are they certainly meet the brand standards of the tenants. So I don't think there's an issue with condition based on age or anything like that.
So you basically, just to understand, you're saying that a purchaser wouldn't look at Cordon and then look at Osborne and say, well, Osborne's brand new, there'd be, I suppose, less risk of something mechanically going wrong. So we should make an adjustment to the cap rate downwards.
Okay. So I think that the age of the building certainly has some bearing. I don't think that's inappropriate, but I do think that Corridon as a retail node to an investor would likely be seen as superior to the stretch of Osborne. I think that's a reasonable comment. This is a very well situated strip mall. It does have, so there are positives and there are positives and challenges to weigh on both sides of the equation, but ultimately our overall cap rate study indicates standard quality retail at 7%, and I'm simply pointing this one comparable out because it is the most comparable, and it does, from my perspective at least, does support our request for 7%. But you're quite correct, our property is brand new, so that would be a consideration. But location is also a big driver.
Yeah, and then just to be Like that location in particular, like that's right across Coburn from Bar Italia, is it not?
I don't have the map right in front of me, but that sounds right, but I don't want to say yes without
Yeah.
looking at the map in front of me. But
So,
yeah.
I mean, not that I've been there or anything, but you, have you driven by at night and see kind of I guess the nuisance situation that might be occurring in the parking lots and surrounding area?
Uh, well, not. Uh, uh, I don't know that it would be. No, I haven't driven past it recently to observe the nuisance behavior, but I have, to be fair, I have seen a lot more media reports about some of the issues in Osborne Village, and certainly the police creating a task force for Osborne Village. I haven't heard that about Corridon, but as I mentioned, I don't think we're in disagreement here. The downtown surrounding areas are facing challenges coming out of COVID. I do think that's fair comment for certainly for retail and to some extent for residential as well.
Okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you. Mr. Stephenson,
No questions for me. Thank you.
Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, I did have some questions. Related to the fit-up allowance.
Mhm.
So I was looking at your numbers. Sorry, I've now lost the presentation because I opened up something else. You did say that you use 145 a square foot for a fit-up allowance?
Yes.
Okay, so the number that you, if I'm doing my math right, the number that you provided in your workup is 140
Sorry.
a square foot.
It's 140 a foot. I'm sorry, I misspoke. Yeah, no, you're
Okay,
correct.
so you
Yeah.
do use 140.
I use
Okay.
140. Yeah, apologies.
Okay,
This was a bit of it's required a bit of a sensitivity because I am dealing with an estimate by the owner that is post-reference, so I have to try to bring it back to our reference date. So I'm trying to be trying to err on the side of caution. So yes, I did write 145, but you're quite correct. If I do that math on 7,014 feet, it is indeed 140 a foot. So my apologies.
okay,
That is
no,
indeed what we're using. Yeah.
that's okay. I just wanted to make sure. And okay, so you did say you did receive some information from the owner about
Well, I spoke
how,
to the owner.
okay,
Yes. So as we walk through the property and discuss first the Classico 20, the apartments, then we finalized our tour in the shell space, and we talked about the um, his estimates for what it would cost to fit out that space. Those estimates were quite high. So,
had he
but
received written estimates?
well, he's a developer, so
He's the developer.
he's a developer, so he's and in this file and in the next, they're both developers, so I
Okay.
do defer to their expertise.
Okay.
I'm certainly not a construction professional,
So
but
I don't want
I
to
wanted
say
to
he's
be
making up
careful.
his own numbers, but is he making up his own numbers?
No, and to be fair, this is not the, when I ask the owner this, he's not aware that this will become just, included in the schedule. I'm collecting data, and I
Okay.
don't know that he's aware of the schedule of rates and allowances that we apply and the deductions and that sort of thing. And
Okay.
frankly, in speaking with other developers, the numbers that are being the estimates are pretty much in line. And as you can imagine, if those prescribed rates applied by the city haven't changed in some time, it is common knowledge at this stage in property development that the costs, material costs and labor costs have increased. So I would suggest that $120 a foot may be applicable in some instances, but based on these two owners that I spoke to related to our files today, their numbers were much higher. So I did try and balance with, going back in time, and I've tried to be cautious not to over adjust. I've tried to be fair and balanced, but the numbers that I'm hearing are much higher than $120 a foot at this
Okay.
stage, and perhaps that'll change with the city going forward.
And Mr. Brokus, just to come back to you on that same issue, have these numbers changed over time, or do you adjust them? Because Mr. Story contends that the numbers have been there for some time, the 120 a square foot. Is that the case?
I know they were there at least in the cycle before. Like I know myself, I have taken bit of permits and calculated them on a per square foot basis. I mean, it also like does vary in terms of like, it's kind of like what is going in there too, a little bit.
Yeah. Mhm.
So, but I don't believe it's been updated at least for one reassessment cycle. So,
Okay.
I can confirm that much.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate your clarification on that. That's all the questions I had. Mr. Brokus, this will conclude the Osborne property now. Would you like to make a summary statement?
Just that the only thing is, I know we're not looking at direct comparison here, but it's kind of like, it's like, I call it like kind of like a smell test. McPhillips sold at 215 per unit. We're below that for both cycles, so I don't think we're overshooting the mark if that's what we're might be have the finger on our chest pointed at us like we're doing. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Story.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. So, to be clear, we have provided the board with a site-specific analysis. We visited the property, we spoke with the owner. I believe we've tried to be fair and balanced in our assessments. I'm reticent to discuss direct comparison without appropriate adjustments. I don't think that's appropriate. So based on our income analysis, I believe that our submissions are well founded and well informed, and I do respectfully submit that our values are aligned to the actual property and not model based. They're based on a site specific analysis, and I think that should be given weighted consideration. So I thank you very much for hearing all three appeals of this property, and I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, that will conclude item number 5. I propose we take a 10-minute break. Does that work for everyone? So we can, how about we resume at, I don't know, 10:30? That's 8 minutes, or would you like a few more minutes in that? 10:35? Resume at 10?
Sure.
Sure. 10:35?
That's perfect.
Okay, we'll resume at
Thanks.
10:35 if everybody could be back by then. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to call our meeting back to order. We're now on item number 6 of our agenda. This is file number 25-481 585 Mandalay Drive. Mr. Brokus.
Okay, thank you very much. File number 25-481, roll number 05009412300585 Mandalay Drive. So another newer build that has a shell commercial space. It's located Mandalay and then one property south of Leela. So up in the Maples area. Actual year built 2023, 3 stories, 32 suites, 36 indoor, 29 outdoor. Excuse me. On page 3, you see that's even split of 1 and 2 bedrooms. Just glancing ahead, the net operating income for the apartment is within $3,000 of each other. So I mean, predominantly it is just a cap rate discussion. So we're at 4.8. Again, 2390 McPhillips. That's basically our supplemental evidence, and I'm sure you've heard more than enough about that property, so I won't repeat myself. That generates an assessment 6,550,000 for the commercial, or rather the residential, and that's 204 per unit. So that's less than the 215 I sold for on McPhillips, which is in the same relative neck of the woods. Makes sense. Retail, we do differ a little bit. On that, I think mostly in regards to the rents that are applied, and I think cap might be a bit different too, but regardless, or the cap's pretty close. Okay, so the rents were generated by the model 244,985, then we got our vacancy shortfall expense parameters by the model. Then we have our unfinished $120 dollars per square foot adjustment to bring it down to 1,681,000. So on the next page, page 4, you can see we have the shell space as being demised, and the rents are in the $20 range. If you go to page 6, here are some of the rents that the leases, the net lease rates I pulled. So I was trying to strike a balance between newer spaces, which is what you'll see the first two in Waterford Green that were in the $28 range. And also being on Mandalay. Granted, these properties on Mandalay, they're like strip malls that are closer to Inkster. They are on the same street. So those are in the $18 range, basically those two rents, and they're older, they're 1987. So we're at $19, $20. So considering it is a newer spot, what's on Mandalay, I think we're pretty good in that respect. Like we're not overshooting the mark. It is one property south of Leela in the Maples. So like as it was discussed last property, there is a lot of development population growth in that corner of the city right now. So that would be something that would be seen as advantageous for a commercial outfit, that there's growing population that they might be able to draw from. So not a bad spot. It's a growing area of the city. Then you have the kind of the stuff from the website starting on page 10, mixed use, etc. And it has the amenities and the marketing photos. I'll let you browse those at your convenience. So yeah, that's my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Story, questions?
Just a few. Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Brokus, have you inspected this property?
I have not.
Okay. And just to be clear, this is in the Maples. The 2390 would be better described as Garden City. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, same neck of the woods, but yeah, if you want to get more granular with the neighborhood titles, then yeah, I'd say that's probably accurate.
Okay. And is it fair comment that Garden City or the that general area may be seen as superior to the Maples? Is that fair?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, it's pretty like that 2390, like it's surrounded, it's got like there's a Walmart there, there's car dealerships, like there's a lot of traffic. Like I'm in that neck of the woods too. There's the hospital, so there's a lot going on. It's kind of like within a commercial. So it's like a residential kind of stuck in a commercial area, where this Maples area is more residential and
Right.
character. So I think I'd rather actually be at Mandalay just in terms of the noise around it. So those are my thoughts.
That's fair. Okay, but just to be clear, and I'm a bit biased here because I grew up in the Maples and I live in Garden City, so I know these two areas quite well. The 2390 is anchored by a huge grocery. It's close to the Walmart, and it's also very close to the Seven Oaks Hospital. Would that not be seen as a positive for renters in that at 2390?
I mean, if they like dealing with all the traffic and people and looking out their window and seeing commercial, then yeah.
Sure. Okay.
It is a
And-
9-minute drive away from Mandalay. So, I mean, they're not next to each other, but they are kind of in the same neck of the woods.
Okay. Well, they're certainly in the northwest. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Okay. So, sorry. So you haven't visited. Oh, first page. The model is suggesting that this is a masonry build, but this is a wood frame build. Is that not correct?
I believe that is correct. I'd have to double check our submission, but
Okay. And I have photos in my brief to confirm, but would that have any bearing on the output of the model if it is indeed a modeled assessment?
it wouldn't if it was done on cost. If it somehow got, for some reason, got flipped to cost, it would, but not on the income basis.
Okay, and would it not have a higher expense ratio going forward if it's wood frame versus masonry?
I would have to look at a study
Okay.
to really quantify that contention.
Okay, and we agree on the rent, so that's fine. That appears to be aligned to CMHC. The vacancy, we're not miles apart, but in terms of your vacancy application of 4.2%, is there anything in your brief supporting that figure?
Nothing within the contents of my brief, no.
Okay, and ultimately, I suppose, Madam Chair, if I may, can we simply ask that our questions on 2390 carry forward from the previous? Is that fair?
Yeah, of
Okay,
course.
wonderful, thank you. Okay, so we don't agree with the 4.8, and that's fine. Switching over to the retail, Mr. Brokus, I'm glad that you used, so sorry, you're using $20.15 overall, correct?
Well, I mean, these premises each have rents that are around there. So, I mean, if I took it and divided it's something like
Right.
that. Yeah.
It's a blended rent of 20. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. 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 All right. So in terms of your rental comps in support, I'm glad you used that Mandalay Shoppers Plaza. I've used it as well. I don't disagree with those rents. But can we agree that Waterford Green, that would be typically would be superior? Is that a fair comment?
Well, I mean, that's a newer build in the Northwest, just on the other side of Keewatin or Jose Rizal. That's another Northwester new one, and that's what
Right.
they're renting fit up for
Yep.
$28.
And that would,
So I tried to strike a
and
balance between the street and also new.
okay, but that would be what we sort of commonly call the new Maples. I believe they call it Castleberry Meadows. Is that fair?
That is, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Google right now. Inkster Gardens, north of Meadows West.
Right. And they call it Castleberry, I believe.
Yeah, I'm just looking at
Yep.
what Google Map has it on the screen as.
Okay. And the other thing that struck me, and again, I'm not disagreeing with your two inputs on Mandalay. I've used them as well. I think that supports the exact type of tenants you would likely see. But my concern, Mr. Brokus, with those units D2 and D3, my understanding is that those are tenanted by the same tenant, and it's in fact a restaurant. Is that your understanding?
I mean, I did have it at one time on my list, but I had to delete it because we don't include like the
Right.
tenants.
Okay.
So I
So
don't have
you'll see it as restaurant, and and you can see that they're signed on the same day, different terms, which is a bit odd, but the same rent. So, can we agree at a minimum that if we were to fit up our space, as a restaurant, and this would be, called broadly a 3,200-foot restaurant, that would be there'd be more costs in terms of fitting up a space to be a restaurant as opposed to the inputs on Mandalay, which are typically smaller retail spaces, smaller office units, typically constituency offices, that sort of thing. Would that be fair that it would cost the owner more to
Yeah.
achieve those sort of rents? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that could be the case. But again, like those lease comps, 80 Mandalay and 90 Mandalay, that's further south towards Inkster.
It's 4 blocks away down Mandalay, right?
It's like we're looking at like Leela, just south of Amber Trails for our subject property. And then those are like way down and like closer to Inkster. So I mean I would argue that the area that the subject is in is superior to 80 Mandalay and 100 Mandalay.
Okay. But 80
I think
Mandalay and 100 Mandalay are the same Shoppers Plaza, correct? Your system would classify as 66 Mandalay, right?
yeah, it's basically like they're next to each other.
Yep.
They're there. So I mean,
okay. Okay, and again, in terms of the cap rate that you've applied, and I've asked you in the past, but there in the last file, there's no submission in support of that cap rate. Is that fair?
that's fair. I think we're pretty close though.
Yep. No, that's fine. I just want to, for the record. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Rokas. Those are my questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Stephenson, do you have questions for Mr. Brokus?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Seelan?
No questions at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Brokus, again, you've used the fit-up allowance of $120 per square foot.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. I have no other questions. Mr. Story.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we are indeed at 585 Mandalay Drive. This is something of an infill. Mr. Rokas is correct. It is very close to the corner of Mandalay and Jefferson. This is at the, I would suggest, is at the periphery of the original or the older Maples, which was a section which was mostly developed in the 1970s through the 80s. So I want to be sure that we're putting this in the right spot. So we're not in Castleberry. We are in the older section of the Maples, and it is indeed an infill build that is behind a mixed-use property that fronts onto Leela. Okay, so ultimately we continue to apply a 5.25 cap rate for the multifamily source. Oh, I should mention too, I did inspect this property fully with the owner on July 24th of 2025 in anticipation of this appeal. So we have spoken with the owner a number of times, and we've also toured the property. It was, again, built in 2023. The land size is 43,000 square feet. It is zoned RMU. There are 32 units, 16 one-bedrooms and 16 two-bedrooms. The unit sizes run between 423 and 609 square feet, again on the lower end. And there are some smaller two-bedrooms starting at 675 feet. That's reasonably small for two-bedroom apartments in the suburbs. So, and we have some retail on the main floor that is in shell condition. Apologize for the typo there, but that is shell condition. You can see that there is some framing that's up, but ultimately it is very similar to our previous file, but it does have the wood framing up. So ultimately, I've asked Mr. Brooks about his vacancy. We've applied a vacancy and bad debt allowance of no less than 5%. I've included the private apartment vacancy rate from CMHC. They're indicating a one-bedroom vacancy rate for properties built after 2005 at 6.1%. And they've used 3.1 for a two-bedroom. So if we blend that, that gives us an average of 4.6%. We always consider bad debt and collection loss as well in our vacancy calculation. So not to belabor this, and we're certainly not worlds apart in terms of the NOI, but I wanted to show the rationale for our 5%. So we have included that information here, and that is based on a blended physical vacancy allowance of 4.6 as supported by CMHC with some consideration for collection loss and bad debt. We've accepted the expense ratio of 38.61 on the same basis that we spoke about previously. I would suggest that the amenities are basic. Condition is good. There is indoor and surface parking. The location I do note here is somewhat atypical. I've not made an adjustment for it, but it is sort of sandwiched between a mixed use property that faces onto Leela, and then Roshni Bay behind it, and then as you go down Mandalay. So we're at Mandalay and Leela, and just a few short blocks away from the corner of Mandalay and Jefferson. So that is indeed the older section of the Maples. That's where the care home is. That would be sort of a touchstone. If you know the Maples, you know that corner. So this is Leela and Mandalay. I've included some rental comps. I've now some of these indicators that I've used are on the lower end, and that's bringing my average and my median down to 1530 or 1560. But with consideration to that plaza that we both agree on, that $18 per foot that we're seeing in that unit, that makes sense. And I did consider the fact that I've mentioned the mixed use that is fronting Leela, and the types of tenancies that we're seeing there are precisely the type of tenancies that we see in the Mandalay Plaza. So we see constituency offices, smaller retail corner store type places. So that is aligned to the flavor of the market. So I think that $18 per foot makes sense. I've used a slightly lower fit up allowance in this case than in the previous at $135 per foot. And that is again based on discussions with the owner and understanding his estimates. And I do note that it is slightly lower because we do have framing in this property, as you can see by the photos, whereas in the previous file we did not. So that is the justification for our fit up allowance. Again, we've applied a capitalization rate of 7%. That is a standard cap rate that we use for standard quality retail. So, and again, this is all optimistic as we are in shell conditions, so we don't know what will happen going forward, but we feel comfortable using our baseline cap rate of 7% for the retail. With $135 for fit up, that leads us to an indicated market value for the retail of $1,136,602, which we then round to $1,137,000. So ultimately, Madam Chair, we are requesting a value of $7,075,000 today, and that's based on a class code 20 assessment of $5,938,000, 5,938,000. And a class code 60 assessment of 1,137,000. I've in the balance of my brief includes the photos. These were taken in July. You can see that the same type situation we have, except we have some framing put up. So in speaking with the owner, I do understand his estimates, and again, this is a knowledgeable developer, so I have deferred to his estimate, but have adjusted it backward to his so as to not over adjust. So we've tried to be fair and balanced. I have photos of a suite. These are actual suite photos. These are lived-in units. This is not marketing. This is what they actually look like. So good quality, no issues there. We've applied our baseline without adjustment. Oh, and I did mention or asked Mr. Barocas about the construction type, and I was able to go through the on Google Street View. You can see this property at different stages of development, starting at page 66 of my brief, and you can see that it is indeed wood frame. So we would ask that the city correct that on the record. It's not masonry, it's wood. So again, ultimately, we are requesting $7,075,000 based on our submission. And with that, I'm happy to take your questions, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Barocas, questions?
Yeah, just a few. So, like this property, like, would you agree that like Amber Trails newer development is basically begins just across Leela? Or we're like pretty
Am-
much located on the
Amber
corner of?
Trails started in the 90s, and it was behind the streets, well, Madden, Cartwright, Leela, and then before they built Leela North School, that's where Amber Trails started. But yes, it has extended, but the area that you're discussing in Waterford Green Common is not the same as Amber Trails. It is slightly different. So I would suggest to you that this property it's more comparable to the older original section of the Maples than it is to, say, Castleberry or the more recent expansions of Amber Trails. So I think that it's 4 blocks away from the Mandalay property that we agree on in terms of the retail rents. So I would suggest to you that it's more comparable to the older Maples section. And if you visit the property, you can see it is surrounded by residential, and it is sort of an infill between um, uh, a mixed use that fronts onto Leela and Roshni Bay behind it, which is purely residential.
Yeah, and those like Nihal and Roshni, like those are like I'm just looking at the street view now, like those are like newer houses, right? Like
Nile Bay is newer, yeah. Nile Bay
Nihal,
is, yeah.
and like Roshni as well. But that not is that not true? Like there's newer builds in there as well. Like they're not from the
Those
70s.
No, they're not from the 70s, but so if we're going north down Jefferson, um, you're basically at the very end of the original Maples here. So I suppose you're at as I mentioned in my presentation, you are on the periphery of the older section of the Maples. And yes, Nile Bay is newer, Roshni Bay is newer, but the houses, I don't have the map in front of me, but right behind them would be some of those original Maple streets, or earlier Maple streets, I should say.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, like, yeah, I think the panel knows what I'm getting at there. Okay, and so just in regards to the residential cap rate at 5 3/4, you mentioned earlier today that this area has very strong demand given all the development going on. Did you consider a downward adjustment on the cap rate at all?
So just to be clear, I'm using 5.25, not 5 3/4, so 5 1/4.
Oh, sorry, 5.25. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would suggest to you that there's a difference between from neighborhood to neighborhood. I think that um, the section of Garden City that we're talking about broadly in the Leland McPhillips Triangle is I would consider it superior to this infill build in the Maples. I think that the Maples build is an atypical location. It is an infill. You might not agree with me about the proximity to amenities for 2390, but I do believe that there's a great benefit to being able to walk out your door and shop at Walmart, and there is some added. There's also a security benefit of being surrounded by um, uh, the auto dealers. There's a great deal of security there. I think that's a benefit. 2390 is fenced. I think that's a benefit, and I think proximity to the hospital is also a benefit. In terms of our subject, it does not have those same amenities, to be fair. Now, in terms of desirability, I think that there is growth, to be certain, in both the Maples and Garden City. But what I was driving at, Mr. Brokeson, at 2390 is there's a huge amount of development that has come up there very quickly. So there's what I would say is something of an immediate action to develop that land, whereas uh, this part of the Maples that we're talking about is slightly on the periphery of the new development, which is Castleberry. So yes, there's development in both, but I think on balance, if we can agree that or not that the cap rate for 2390 as warranted by the broker's material is 5, I think it's fair to apply a 5.25 to this property.
Okay, I mean, we're not going to agree on the cap, but
Right.
I hear you. Okay. I mean, the panel can always Google map and see the location we're talking about. I'll just leave her there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Seeland, do you have questions?
Yes, just to confirm, there's indoor parking here.
There is indeed indoor underground parking in this property. Yes, there are, I believe it's 32 stalls underground and then some surface parking.
Nice.
I'm sorry, 36.
6.
So parking is not an issue with this property.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson.
I was wondering about parking. That answered my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Story. I was looking at your vacancy. I
Yes.
know it's a minor issue, but I just thought I'd ask anyway.
Mhm.
You used 5.5. You indicated from your table that would be a blended of 4.6. So why did you go to 5 and not use 4.6?
Oh, as I mentioned, the physical vacancy by CMHC is 4.6, but we do consider collection loss and bad debt.
Okay, so that's included in there.
That is what I've
Okay.
included. So at a
Okay,
baseline
thanks.
physical vacancy of 4.6. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I missed that little distinction there. Includes bad debt. Okay. And you mentioned that your retail cap of 7% is your standard capitalization rate that you use for standard quality retail.
Yes, indeed.
And there's no distinction for it being new or anything like that.
Well, no, I think that ultimately now it is a theoretical because it isn't
Yeah.
built yet, but we're assuming that it's not going to be on
Yeah.
the low end of the top quality of all the retail in the city. I think based on what we know and based on what's built there at this time, I think 7% as a baseline makes sense, and we may adjust as we go forward as the property is built out and we determine the type of rents that are achieved and the type of covenants that become available. But yes, at this stage, based on what we know, our baseline standard retail cap of 7% is applicable from our perspective.
Okay, and again, I do appreciate there's only a small difference between the two parties with respect to cap rate. Just a question. And the rents, well, difference is there. Okay, I have no other questions. Mr. Baroka's summary?
No, thanks.
Mr. Story?
No, thank you. I think we'll leave it just to the next one, and then we can wrap them up.
Okay, thank you. That will conclude item number 6. Okay, we're moving on to item number 7. This is the same property, just a different assessment year. So file number 25-482, 585 Mandalay. Mr. Brokus.
All right, thank you very much. So let me take a quick peek here to streamline my presentation, see how we're doing. Okay. Thank you. File number 25-482, roll number 05009412300585 585 Mandalay is the 2025 reassessment. So it's the same property we just discussed, just with some different numbers involved. So like the file before, we're pretty darn close in regards to net operating income, maybe like less than $4,000. So we got a 4.7 on this one, as supported by 2390 McPhillips. Retail, I think we're closer on this one too. You can see the parameters on page 3, but there is a slight difference, and then we have a different cap rate. So my rental comps are found, my leasing comps are found, on page 6. And there you have it. We're not too far off in terms of net operating income, though, slight difference. So they range from $15 to $25. We are in the same $20, $21 ballpark as we were last go around. And then, you know, on page 10, we got those, you know, that per unit analysis from the real estate board spreadsheet or PowerPoint, but we've talked about that already. So without belaboring the process, that's my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Story, questions?
Yes, just very quickly, and of course, I'll ask that some of my previous questions carry forward. But specific to this assessment, Mr. Brokus, I noticed that the expense ratio on the apartments has increased cycle over cycle, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and that's and to be fair, that's the ratio relative to the appreciation in rents versus the appreciation in costs. So this would indicate that the appreciation to the costs are outpacing the appreciation to the rents. Is that fair?
I mean, that's what the model's putting out. It's not a big difference. I mean,
Yep.
it's a little bit older, you know, as things get older, they you know, incrementally get more expensive to maintain.
Okay. And so then I guess my question is, and I should have asked you this in the previous, but the fit up adjustment then, if we can agree that costs are indeed increasing, you've used the same fit up allowance, correct?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And to be fair, once again, this is just a rate that's applied by the city. That's policy. There's no evidence to support or the rationale. Is that fair?
Well, I mean, that rate was taken from looking at, you know, various permits and working out their fit up per square foot on the declared construction costs. Now, some were higher than 120, some were lower. 120 was a number that the commercial section arrived with, and that's something that we've been applying.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of that cap rate, I see a 40 basis point cap rate, a drop to the cap rate. Is there anything to support a 40 basis point adjustment to the cap rate?
It's a model rate. I don't have any supplemental support for that, so it's just
Okay.
put up with a model. I can't comment on that actually.
Okay. And then just very quickly, page 6 of your brief again, we're looking at Waterford Green Common. Okay. Now, these are different inputs from the previous. They're in that same Waterford Plaza, the Jose Rizal, the one with the statue. That's that same shopping plaza, correct? 55 Waterford.
It's the same address.
Okay. And can we agree? I couldn't confirm the second input, but at least numbers 1 and 3 would be medical, correct?
I'm not sure.
Okay. And then the one on Kingsbury, that's across from Garden City Mall, and that's also a medical clinic. Is that correct?
I'm not sure. I don't have the tenant. I could keep that column in future briefs, but I don't think I'm supposed to.
Okay. I
I'd
just
have
wondered
to
if you
rerun the whole
noticed in
thing.
your right in your preparation, I wondered if you'd noticed, but they
Mhm.
are, I can certainly confirm that they're medical clinics. Now, medical clinics typically would require, can we agree that they would require a higher degree of fit up and generally command a higher rent than non-medical premises? Is that fair?
I'd have to do a review to confirm that contention.
Okay. Okay, that's fair. And then 80 and 100 Mandalay, that's again in that Shoppers Plaza that we agree with. So I don't disagree with that. Finally, you have a permit value for $5 million.
Yep.
Okay. Have you put any weight on that?
Oh, in terms of like the cost to construct it?
Well, no, I suppose that we don't typically see assessments at, almost $9 million. It seems a little far out from the declared construction value. I don't put a great deal of weight on it, but I just noticed that
Yeah.
seems somewhat low, does it not?
I mean, there could be other permits that are involved. I basically threw this permit in here to show that we could we could assess the, what's it called, the commercial after 2 years, we're supposed to assess what's there. So that's why we're assessing the shell of it.
Okay, but to be clear, that permit that's for to build the whole building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, those are my questions. Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Seelan, questions?
No questions at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Stephenson.
No questions, thank you.
Okay, and I have no questions either. Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Story.
Okay, so this is the 2025 supplementary of 585 Mandalay. I will ask that my comments carry forward. There's not much change besides the reference date, I suppose. So once again, we did inspect the property. I inspected the property and interviewed the owner on July 24th. I've spoken with him a number of times. You can see I have a map. You can see exactly where this is in the Maples. So it's interesting. It is on the south side of or the southwest part of that Leela Mandalay area, and you can certainly see that when you sure Roshni Bay and Nile Bay are new, but Carr, Cloves, Cans Crescent, and Penny Lane are all older streets in the Maples. So this is sort of on that periphery as I've warranted here today. Ultimately, we are applying the rents are not in dispute. They do appear aligned to CMHC. So no issue there. We are applying 4% vacancy in this case. And again, we've used the same methodology. We followed the CMHC table, which is indicating 4% for one bedroom for newer properties and 3.2% for two bedrooms for newer properties. And of course, we do include some consideration for bad debt and collection loss. We do note that the expense allowance is higher, and we have accepted that as well. We do suggest that we would expect to see something in the low to mid 40s, but this is a brand new building, and it is retrospective and somewhat theoretical based on the economic reference date. So, as better evidence and more robust operational data that is relevant and submittable to the board, we will track that. But for our purposes today, the multifamily is a cap rate issue. We are applying 5%. This is in line with our submission, and I will ask again that our comments carry forward. We do think that 2390 would be considered superior. However, we've not adjusted. We believe that that cap rate could be calculated higher. The brokers are suggesting 5%, and as a baseline, 5% is the number where we feel most comfortable. So we have applied a 5.0 cap for this property on the multifamily. So ultimately, with our net income of 323,489 capitalized with a 5.00 cap, we come to an indicated market value of 6,469,789, which we then of course round to 6,470,000. In terms of the rents, we've used we've looked to that Mandalay Plaza. We do recognize that it is a newer build, so we've used and because we used 18 in the previous cycle, we have escalated that to $20. I think that makes sense. These are not fit up as medical tenancies. These are of course shell. So and again, we have some indication from knowing the area, the types of tenancies that are most likely to tenant this property would be in line with what we see in the Mandalay Shoppers Plaza. So we have used those as a guideline, but applied something higher at $20 per foot. We have again used a fit up allowance. Just want to double check my math. Apologies. Okay. Right, we've used 140 a foot. That should be Well, no, that actually makes sense because we're increasing as the cost to construct goes up, and we had used 135 previously. Sorry, I'm mixing my files a little bit. We've used $140 a foot. That is slightly lower than the previous, and that's based on the fact that there is some degree of framing, and we have again performed a site-specific analysis and discussed this with the owner, so we have a sense of their estimates, and we believe that. We believe it's appropriate to defer to his expertise as a developer. So that is the basis for construction cost adjustment for the fit up, which leads us to an indicated market value or a capitalized NOI of $3,095,148, less the adjustment for fit up, brings us to an indicated market value of $1,393,000. When taken together with the class code 20, we come to 7,863,000. So once again, the balance of my brief includes photos of the shell space as of July 24th. These are my photos. You have photos of the interior of the suites. And then once again, at the back end of our brief, we do have the photos of the property being built, which confirms that it is indeed wood frame. So ultimately, on a site-specific review of this property, we believe that an overall value of $7,863,000 based on $6,470,000 for class code 20 and $1,393,000 for class code 60 is appropriate. And we do respectfully submit that the board adjust to our value based on our submission. And with that, I'm open to your questions, and I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Story. Mr. Barocas.
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan.
Just to clarify, this property's on the southeast corner or closest to the southeast corner of Mandalay and Leela.
Sorry, did I say southwest? Yeah, you're correct. It's the southwest. There's southeast. That's correct. I said southwest, but yeah, southeast. That is correct.
That's fair. Your fit up was $140 per square foot.
Yes, sir.
The previous reference, it was 135.
That's correct. So that's an increase of, I believe it's 3.6%. So it's a modest increase. Sorry, 3.7% over the previous. So a modest increase based on increased construction costs and based on conversations with the owner. Again, a knowledgeable developer who has estimates, who's not simply creating this number to his benefit. This is his actual estimate, and that we've tried to adjust that to the reference state. So ultimately, I think we're in line with our fit up, and thank you for pointing that out. It is indeed a 3.7% increase over the previous, which I think is supportable.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Stephenson.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions either. So, Mr. Barocas, would you care to make a summary statement?
I mean, yeah, I do feel that this is in a better location. Like personally, I would rather be in a more residential neighborhood than like basically the parking lot of a car dealership, 2390 McPhillips. So we're at 217 per suite. That one sold for 215. So I think we're on the money with this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Story?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, ultimately, I think that having visited the property, having performed a more granular site-specific analysis in discussions with the owner, I think that our position is well-founded. We're not going to agree on anything regarding 2390, but I would suggest that having major services anchoring your residential unit is a great benefit. At any rate, I believe that our submissions here are well informed and supportable, and we do request that the board adjust based on our submissions today. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that will conclude item number 7. And I think with that, you are also finished, right, Jared? You're
Yes, indeed.
okay.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you. You too.
And we
Thanks.
will. Thank you.
Thank
We'll
you.
get our
Thank
next
you, everyone.
presenter.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Could I take a 2-minute break? Is that
Sure.
possible? Real quick
We'll
before I
just
finish up?
Sure.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much.
I'd like to call our meeting back to order. And before we begin, Mr. Abbas needs to be confirmed, please.
Mr. Abbas, please state your full name.
Bashar Abbas.
Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And hello, Mr. Abbas. Okay, we are now on item 8. This is file number 25-483, 590 St. Anne's Road. Mr. Barocas.
All right, thank you very much. So file 25-483, 590 St. Anne's Road. So it's a newer build, built in 2024. It's just south of Meadowwood. And we've got 2 lines of classification here. We've got commercial, it's another mixed use new apartment. And we've got the 20T as well. So we've got 18 suites. If you go to page 3, you can see that it's a mix between 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom units. And just glancing ahead, we do have the same net operating income for the apartment, so I'm not gonna beat that to death. 4.8 cap for 2024. I'm sure you're all versed in our support for that based on our conversations today. 209 market value per unit. We got a commercial as well here. So with that, we have an unfinished adjustment applied. So that's 120 per square foot. If you go to page 4, the first premise is occupied and fit up, so that doesn't count in the calculation. But if you add up the square footage of units 2 to 4 and multiply them by 120, you get the 486,960. So that's how that number is calculated. But keep in mind that first unit is not included in that. So we got our comparable leases here on page 6. They're in the they go from 18 to 26 net on a square foot basis. And if you look on page 4, we're in high 19, 20 range. So our net leasing rate is supported. Cap rate stuff, I'm sure you guys are pretty up on. Construction permit on page 10, just showing, when they are breaking ground. So we have justification to assess them on a shell basis. Legally, we have to. And then the rest of the brief are just photos from advertisements online. So again, 209 a unit. Our rents are supported just south of Meadowwood. That's my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barocas. Mr. Abbas, questions?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Mr. Assessor, can you confirm if this is model generated?
It is, yes.
So I'll start my questions with the multifamily first. So 4.8 cap rate applied to the multifamily. Can you confirm that this is well outside the range provided by the 3 brokers? This reported range starts from 5 to 5.75.
I wouldn't say it's well outside the range, and as I mentioned before, I can't confirm how they got to those numbers. I know at least one of the brokers uses the information following the sale, which would be impossible because that information didn't exist at the time of the sale, which is what would be on the table. And coming up with a cap rate, so I can only speak for the validity of our own calculations.
Okay, but would you agree that the brokers are amongst the most knowledgeable professionals when it comes to buying, selling, or transacting these properties in the market?
Yeah, they're involved in the deals, but I mean, we have access to a far greater pool of income and expense mailers. We put out a yearly request. We analyze them, and then we're able to input the information into our model and have that model generate cap rates supported by income and expense mailers from all the properties throughout the city. So yes, they are involved in the transactions, but I would say that the city on a overall basis has access to more information than the brokers do.
Okay, my third question would be a follow-up to your second question's answer. Would you not agree that if they are knowledgeable about the market and all of the three brokers ranges, if you look at them, they all align to each other? Would it not be a fair statement to say that greater weightage should be put to that range?
But no, I mean that wasn't my answer. My answer was that I don't know how they created. I know one of them, at least in our eyes, uses information from after the date of the sale. So because that information didn't exist, their rates don't mean anything. I've also seen have MLS access and access to the performers that the realtors put out, who are also quote unquote real estate professionals, and they will put out numbers and cap rates and rents that are totally unsupportable or even inconsistent with what we're getting from properties, income and expense information that they submit to us. So again, I can only speak towards the validity of our work. Yeah, so I back us, not the brokers. Yeah, sure, but I can only confirm our information. I don't know what they're doing.
Okay, sounds good. And my next questions would be towards the cap rate applied at the commercial units. So the city has applied 5.8, and it will be a similar question to what I asked initially. The brokers are stating the range of 6 to 7.5. Can you just explain a little bit why the city's applied cap rate is way below their 20th percentile?
Oh yeah, so this is a model cap. I don't have any supplemental information in regards to the retail cap rates.
Okay.
So I don't have an answer to that question, but I will always take what a broker or a realtor might put out who are involved in perhaps benefiting from the sale of the property with a grain of salt.
Okay, and then are you aware that this property has 4 commercial units? Are you aware that some of the commercial units do not face St. Anne's, but they're on the side, they face the side streets and they have side entrances?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and has that been considered by the model?
I don't see why it would, but that's not an input that we have here in our system.
Okay, would you not agree that if a unit, especially if it's a commercial unit, if it's a commercial unit and if it does not have visibility to the main traffic, the flow of the main traffic, it should be reflected?
I don't think so. I think maybe decades ago, before the prevalence of smartphone technology, I mean, people spend half their day buried in their phone anyway. If they want to learn where a business or an office is, they just type it up and then they find out. And if they have to walk on the side of the building as opposed to the front of the building, don't really think it makes a difference.
Okay, and then the pictures that you have attached, I'm just confirming these are all the marketing photos.
Yes.
People, okay. Okay, those were all my questions, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Mr. Stephenson, questions for the assessor?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
Yes, is there parking with these suites? With these apartments?
We don't have any on file. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't think so. Just let me pull it up quick. Let me see here. I mean, from the aerial, it looks like there's some spaces in the back. But we don't have any on file, so that might be something that the applicant might be able to answer better than us. That might need to be changed.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. And thank you for clarifying, Mr. Barocas, how the adjustment was made on the retail for the fit up. I was doing the math and it was coming out at $89 a square foot, which was inconsistent with the 120 you've been using. So I understand that now. So I appreciate that. And I have no other questions either. So Mr. Abbas, to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So our subject property's address is 590 St. Anne's Road, roll number 080812223675. Original age is 2024. I would just like to make a minor correction over there. It says 2023, but in actual it's 2024. There are 2 one-bedroom units and 16 two-bedroom units. And there are 26 parking stalls, which are built on the back of the property. Now, if I may request the board to please scroll to page number 14. We have our valuation on page 14 for the multifamily portion. So we are in line with the NOI presented by the assessor. Our main discussion would be on the cap rate. We've applied a cap rate of 5.25%, which is based on our cap rate summary chart, which is on the next page, page number 15. So again, age of 2024, base cap rate based on our summary starts at 5.25. It's a low-rise property. It is not masonry. It says masonry over there. That's a typo. It's a metal frame. Condition is good. It's a newly built, so the assumption I did an exterior inspection of the property. The property is in good condition. It has 26 parking stalls built at the back. All of them are exterior. Overall location of the neighborhood, it's in a decent, good neighborhood. And based on that, we believe that a cap rate of 5.25% should be applied to the multifamily portion of the subject property. And with that, we come to a value of $3,439,284, which I have rounded to $3,440,000. That is on page 16. And then on page 17, we have our retail valuation for the commercial portion. Again, for the commercial portion, we are in line with the NOI presented by the assessment department. Our valuation is on page 19. We are just disputing the cap rate applied by the assessment department. We are applying a cap rate of 7%. There's a small summary chart on page 18, which shows that a retail top quality with 1% non-recoverables would have a low of 6.5% and a high of 7%. A retail standard quality would have a low of 7% and a high of 7.5%, and on a low quality retail would be 7.75 to 8.25. We are putting this property under the retail standard quality, under the standard quality, and applying a 7% cap rate. And with the 7% cap rate, we're coming in the value of $891,541 and rounded off to 892,000. With that, the total value that we are requesting from the board is $4,332,000. And that's all for my presentation, and I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Mr. Barocas, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Stephenson?
So you're comparing cap rates for good quality properties in good locations. What specific properties are those?
Those will be in our cap rate table. Just give me 1 second.
Are you directing us to another report, Mr. Abbas?
That would, just to answer the question, that would be on our cap rate table.
Okay.
The 5 properties that we have taken.
Okay. Let us just get to that.
Page 6?
Give me just 1 quick second. Oh, the wrong table. So this would be the cap rate report that I have submitted for the 2023 Ryan cap rate report.
Okay. And what page would you like us to go to?
And it would be on page number 6 of the brief. That's where we have our properties listed that we have used.
Okay, I'm clearly not seeing the table. Page 6 of the main brief or page 6 of your...
Page 6 of the cap rate brief.
Okay, why am I not seeing it?
Unless the page number is wrong.
So my question was, which property are you thinking is the best comparison to this property?
I would pick, well, I mean, it's difficult to just pick one property, but I would pick based on the location. It's on St. Anne, so I would pick 3-3 Ward. It's in not in the same location, but would be closer location. So I would pick 333 Ward, yeah.
I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. And I have no questions, so thank you for that. That will conclude item number 8. Okay, we'll move to the last item on our agenda, item number 9, file number 25-484. This is also 590 St. Anne's Road. So, Mr. Barocas.
Okay, thank you very much. Just let me go over this quick. I think we're not too far off in regards to sorry, I have the wrong one. I'll just go through mine. Okay, so file number 25-484. 590 St. Anne's Road, roll number 08081223675. Same property, just with some updated parameters. Use a 4.7 cap on this. Kicks out an assessment of $220 per unit. On page 3, you can, or on page 4 rather, you can see the modeled net lease rates on a per square foot basis, in and around $21. Better rent comparables on page 5. Comparable leases on page 6 in the area Dakota, St. Anne's, the Meadowwood general region. 2390 McPhillips, 215 per suite sold in October of 2020. This one we were assessing at 220,000. That one, McPhillips is in the middle of a Walmart parking lot, and between a Walmart parking lot and a car dealership. So, I mean, I think this is a bit more desirable, even though it is on St. Anne's. It is newer as well by about 9 years. So that's something that would be taken into consideration as well. Overall, everything else is the same. Our retail, rather our commercial cap 5.5, and we have the same unfinished deduction because one of the units is fit up. That's my evidence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barocas. Mr. Abbas, questions?
Madam Chair, may I request the board to carry forward the questions from the last property? I mean,
Yes, of course.
the last one, yeah, the last year, yeah. So I would request the board to carry forward all those questions. And then, sorry, Mr. Brokos, I missed maybe, I think I missed over when you said that 2390 McPhillips is in a superior location.
No, I guess I don't know if you're listening in, but yeah, 2390 McPhillips is our comparable. I mean, I personally don't like the location. I go by there all the time. Basically, to get to your unit, you have to cross McPhillips along with all the Walmart shoppers as well. It's basically in the middle of a commercial area. So in my mind, it is an inferior location. It's also 9 years older, and the sale took place at the end of 2020, and we're looking at a reference date of April 1st, 2023. So that one we have 4.7. We're at 4.7 for this one. I think we're solid.
Okay, thank you. Those were all my questions.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Mr. Seelan, questions for the assessor?
No questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Stephenson?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions either. So, Mr. Abbas.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's the same property, so I would not go over I would not introduce the property's address or the roll number. I would just request the board to scroll to page number 13. We have our evaluation over there. We are again in line with the NOIs that the city has applied. We're disputing the cap rates. we have applied a cap rate of 5%. And again, our cap rate is based off our cap rate study. That's already included. And then there's a summary on page 14. If you look at the summary, again, I would just want to highlight the correction over there. On the age, base cap rate starts at 5%. It's a low rise metal frame, in good condition, 26 parking stalls. Overall location is good again. And based on that, we have applied a cap rate of 5%. And with that, we come to a value on page, it is listed on page 15 to $3,727,986, rounded off to $3,728,000. And then again, on the next page, I have our retail valuation. The valuation table is on page number 18. We are in line with the NOI applied by the assessment department. For this property, for this portion, we have applied a cap rate of 7% based on our cap rate table, a summary table on page 17. This property lies under a retail standard quality. Low is 7%, high and the high would be 7.5%. So we have deferred to 7% for this, and with that we come to a market value of $954,536, rounded off to $9,055,000. Oh, sorry, $955,000. And then on the last page, it's just the total requested value. We're requesting the board for a total value of $4,683,000. And that's all from our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Mr. Barocas.
Yeah, just like in your 2025, 2026 retail cap rate study on page 19, I guess I'll wait for everyone to pull it up. So looking at these properties, these are the properties that were used to develop your ranges found in your overall valuation brief. Is that correct? On page 17, those ranges you were referring to? Top
That
quality,
would,
standard quality.
that would be correct, but when I mean, if you look down, starting from page 20, we have a description of how we are getting to each of the cap rates.
Mhm.
If it's within a
Okay.
one, yeah, no. Yeah, that's
Okay,
correct.
so one of the adjustments is building condition and age life. So the property we're looking at today, that's a brand new uh building, right? And when I look at your cap rate sales on page 19, all of the buildings are 30 years older. Would you consider adjusting the cap rate you applied to the retail on the subject downwards at all based on its fact that it's brand new?
Well, if you look at St. Mary's Road, index number 12, it has an age from 1990 to 2018 and a cap rate of 6.73%. So that's not too far from our applied cap rate for this property.
Okay,
And then also, our commercial portion is, these are all retail strip malls. Our commercial portion is on the main floor of an apartment. So there will be other external factors that we would have to consider. And I can quickly go over some of the factors. For example, there isn't any designated parking stalls for the customers. Another would be, if you just quickly give me a minute, I had my notes. Sorry, Madam Chair, just give me one quick. Thank you. Yeah. So again, it would be, I mean, our commercial portion is on the main floor of an apartment block. A lot of the times these commercial portions are owned by smaller or newer businesses or family-owned businesses with not strong covenants. Apart from that, there isn't any designated parking spots usually for these commercial properties. Apart from that, I wouldn't. So I would say that also because there are no major businesses usually found under, not major, but like branded commercial spots found underneath under an apartment commercial units like these strip malls you would found. So these are a couple of factors that we had also considered while applying our cap rates.
okay, thank you. Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Stephenson, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan,
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
thank you. And I have no questions either, so thank you very much, Mr. Abbas. Summation, Mr. Barocas?
Just, yeah, just on the overall, on a per unit basis, we're right around 2390 McPhillips. We're in a better location. We could argue about which cap rate we want or not. We're looking at the final valuation. So I think that 215 per door on McPhillips, that's an actual sale that shows that we're pretty accurate. So I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Mr. Brokus. Mr. Abbas?
I'm good, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, that will conclude item number 9. So thank you, Mr. Brokus, and thank you, Mr. Abbas, for your presentations today. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
Bye now.
Bye.
Can I read the closing statement?
Oh, yes, right. I forgot. Okay. With that, we have heard all items on our agenda today, and this hearing is now adjourned. Thank you very much.